So yeah, this is Calicat, the Calicaster, and Folie, Deux. Yeah, so if the first one was a Scorsese movie, the sequel is a Coppola movie. It's Coppola and a little bit of the old Frank Miller comics, a little bit of some of the other cliches of Hollywood type of deals. Yeah. Some of the major critics have already riffed on the movie. Said it's awful. Says it's the worst thing they've ever seen. Campy, and we have Angry Joe show, and them going, oh, yeah. Oddly enough, I don't think Red Letter Media's done it yet. They probably should. but yeah, it really, as a movie critic fan thing of musicals and that kind of thing, and other things, it wasn't. I'm not saying it was good. It's not great. It's not good. Some of the horror movie trailers were really bad that were before it. But yeah, the movie, it's that Red One Santa Claus movie looks worse and worse every time I see that trailer. But anyway, this movie has apparently the audacity to poke fun at the very critics of the first one. 60% of Rotten Tomatoes, but went on to make first Joker movie, went on to make $1 billion. So he's basically riffing the fans. He's getting under their skin. That riffed that movie. Yeah, so in that sense, sure, he succeeds. And some of the critical analysis was that the songs didn't match the story, but they do actually match the story. That It's Such Life, the other two songs, the one about That's Life. The songs have lines in them that, like in a musical, would forward the story. I think the main problem with the songs is that they give away the story too much, not that they don't give enough. If you listen to the words of the songs, it's like, oh, from the opening scene, treated this weird cartoon. I can spoil the whole thing, it's fine. It's been out for a while. And it's tanking. It's absolutely tanking. So, it's a cartoon, which does the Calicat ending of Joker one that how it should have ended the cartoon series did, and on my suggestion, and others, it wasn't just me. Yeah, do that ending. Say that the Joker isn't really him; it's the other Joker. That's literally the movie right there. That in the cartoon, it's him in his shadow. The cartoon character kills him in the cartoon. So you're like, right away, you know how this is going to end. It's going to have the Calicat ending. Another Joker is going to be, Jack Napier is going to show up at the end. He's going to whack Arthur, because that's going to happen. It's just going to. So we got expecting that. How are they going to get to that point? Knowing the ending is really obvious from that opening crawl, But also it got spoiled. Yeah, some people spoiled it already. But I didn't mind because I wasn't really going to see it. Then I decided today, well, I'm going to go and see it. The ending of a movie getting spoiled is not a problem for me. It's fine. I spoil many a movie ending. Like when I went to see The Sixth Sense, and it was like, he's a ghost. Yeah. But yes, like that. I didn't know. I was guessing. A ghost. Those character's a ghost. Anyway, so we have a setup story. Folie, Deux. That's a psychological term, but it's also Folie, Deux. It's a person of the split. It's the whole Batman mythos. Batman and Bruce Wayne and the Joker and the Joker's persona. But in the tradition of Frank Miller and the other guys from the 80s and 90s, of which this borrows heavily from, the idea that we don't know what the Joker was like when he was actually normal. Like the Killing Joke kind of hinted at that in that later story. It's, kind of the idea is like, is that what he was really like, or is that what he was really like? And I'm not sure. Yeah, he's crazy. The whole at one point there's a deliverance type scene in there where the guards they rape the guy, but it's like ew. But yeah. So I don't need to go into. I don't need to look up the different actors. That's not important. So I'm not going to. Or look up the different characters. It's an Elseworld story like the other one was, and if they're following the Watchmen sort of ethic, which was a spoof of superhero movies and generally DC movies, this is yet another one. This is in that same universe, like those stories, and like Watchmen, like the Watchmen comics more so than the movie. The character goes into they flash back and forth to other events that are going on to tell the story. And yeah, like they were saying, oh, the songs don't really. Yeah, they do. They do match. The problem is that they're out of order. They're a jarring narrative change. They're not subverting expectations because they give it away. They say, oh, it subverts expectation. It doesn't really. They give it away. There's songs about like the guy getting cacked. Several songs about somebody getting dumped or cacked. So it's like that's all half of all musical ballads are breakup songs. The other half are love songs, pretty much. If you look at musical ballads and show tunes and stuff, and it's always a tragedy. It goes back to the Greek theater and the idea of the comedy and the tragedy being two halves of the split kind of thing. Like that line in Batman '89, two halves of the split. Yes, and the Joker, Napier Joker, brilliantly by Jack Nicholson back in the day, did that portrayal quite well. This is not a movie that takes place in that universe, though, because clearly they'd be the wrong age to be them later on. It doesn't line up with the Nolan ones either, although he kind of fudgy tried to line it up a little bit, even though it doesn't if it's the 80s and then the 2000s. Young Bruce Wayne is not the same. He wouldn't be the Michael Keaton character, and he wouldn't be the Christian Bale character. It's just somewhere in between. He'd be later. He'd be Batman from the Clooney Batman, or probably he wouldn't be the Heath Ledger one either. The other guy wouldn't be the Heath Ledger Joker either. So yeah, it doesn't match. So don't worry about it. It's Elseworld. It's part of the multiverse. It doesn't match. And I think that was the whole point, is that it doesn't have one. He's taking a cue from the hideous and yet somewhat amusing drawn together movie and saying there's Make a Point Land, and here we are in Make a Point Land, and it has no point, and they all get erased at the end. That's kind of what happens. So you have your universe doing its thing. It's not a good movie by any stretch, but it's not an awful movie either. Joaquin Phoenix is trying so hard to sing badly that he sings badly, and that is distracting all the way through. I know he can sing better than that. There was a long line. He can sing better than that. And he's trying to sing badly, or he's trying to do the bad laugh or whatever. And they address that. They say always the bad laugh is on purpose. It's like, yeah, it's unsettling, but it's not the Joker. Yeah. So if the whole point was this guy isn't really, he's a Joker, and society copies him, and they become entrenched in the Joker mythos, and they try to rescue him at the end and everything. It's like well then your movie misses the mark because it didn't quite work. It's like a non-plus sequel. I can kind of tell what happened as a script writing student years ago. Mainly for science fiction and stuff. But I can tell what happened here. What happened is they had a script treatment that was about 45 pages, 45 minutes. That's all they had for the movie. They did not have a movie. They had a script. They had a third of a movie, maybe. And they were like, oh, shit. We got a courtroom drama here. We're sort of spoofing 12 Angry Men, kind of. We're spoofing Dark Knight a little bit. We're spoofing Coppola a lot, like a prison movie, a Coppola prison movie. We're spoofing a bunch of other stuff. A little bit of Shawshank thrown in there for why not? A little bit of Deliverance thrown in there, why not? A little bit of Girl Interrupted in there. Why not? Yeah, we have, and yet we didn't have a story. You just had a script treatment, and you're like, oh shit, we need to make another $1 billion. Okay, Warner Brothers, like you did with the Matrix 4. You had a half a script. You had half a story there, and that's kind of the same problem. You had half of a story, and you let AI write the songs. You just cribbed them from. Well, you got the songs from standards. You had them sing them. The parts where Joker and Harley Quinn, or Harley Quinzel, or Harley Quinn, of course, are doing a fake drama show. Those are fine, and I don't know how you would have worked those in as sort of a comedy routine. It's sort of an evil version of the Bob Hope special. Some of that worked. The fake wedding scene, fake shootout scene, fake fake out death scene, suicide, murder scene. Fine. Courtroom scene where he imagines bashing in their heads and stuff. That would have been fine, but they didn't connect them because they didn't want to connect them. So there is action in the movie. It's just displaced because you have a script treatment that's so short that you just had to like pick and choose what you wanted to do. You rewrote it. It was probably being polished up during the writer's strike, and there just was nobody around to finish it. So they filmed it anyway. They shouldn't have done that. Well, they spent a lot of money on this one. $200 million probably. Oh no. I don't think it's made 11 million yet. So they're. I might be wrong about that. They may have made 220 million at this point, but I don't think so. I think it's tanking. Joker, Folie, Deux. But yeah, you have. Well, everybody knows the backstory of Harley Quinn, who was in the story, and you have Arthur Fleck and that guy, Joaquin Phoenix are making himself real skinny again. The dude's gonna die from trying to make himself anorexic. He should not do that. That's not a good idea. And what's with the collarbone sticking up? Man. So yeah, that's just okay. This is gonna be dreary. Well, that's fine. A little bit. Some critics are saying, it's a little like American Psycho or something, but not really. American Psycho. I would say it's more like American Psycho 2. That's not good. It's a little more like what was the other one? The Rules of Attraction, which was another American Psycho sequel. It wasn't very good. Yeah. It's not that bad though. It's not as bad as Rules of Attraction. It's not Rules of Attraction. It's not as bad. That was worse. Wow. I want the Plinkett guys to analyze this movie. I want Red Letter Media to do Joker, Folie, Deux. If they haven't done it, get out there and watch it. I want to see what Rich Evans thinks of this movie. Well, it's kind of confusing to me. I don't know what's going on, What does the Joker think of the Joker movie? It wasn't very good. Or very funny. There was only one funny scene in it, really. The part where the judge says, no, I don't want you to make this a circus. And he goes, it's a little late for that. Yeah, so yeah, but yeah, everybody was crawling about there's a Lady Gaga and him, Arthur Fleck sex scene. Again, conservative people, freaking out over a sex scene, a disturbing sex scene. There was a similar one in Oppenheimer. There were two in Oppenheimer. There was more skin in the Oppenheimer ones. And they filmed it in such a way that they were dreary and sad, and then they have sex. And then they were even more dreary and sad, and they have sex. And this one, they're dreary and sad, and they have sex. But they don't really show any skin. So it's entirely like, they're clothed. They're practically clothed and in the dark. You can't see anything. So, no, you don't get to see any of Lady Gaga's. You don't even get to see them at all. She gets to pretend like, they dry humping each other, basically. And then I'm pregnant later. It's like, that's not going to come around. I'm surprised she didn't say at some point, I was lying about that. You can tell that she's sort of a bad guy in the story and that she's just using him to get publicity and stuff in the story, her character. Yeah, someone else pointed out on one of the other critic shows, the one with the little dog in it. That's not Harley Quinn, really. Harley Quinn is an anti-hero bad guy, has a different past than that. The past is actually messed up, and that's why she's like that. She becomes Joker's counselor. Well, although the Harley Quinn does come from the animated series, filmed in the 90s, and they don't explore her backstory very much in the animated series. She just appears and she's a mess, and she joins up with the Hamill Joker, yes, and that's where all that. So the fact that this movie does a version of Harley Quinn that's different from the other one, from Suicide Squad 1 and 2, it's fine. In that it's an older Harley Quinn, basically. It's a slightly older Harley Quinn. And he's a slightly older Joker. So that works. I mean, she's supposed to be in the later comics and later cartoons. She's supposed to be a psychologist that works at Arkham Asylum, and she falls in love with a patient who's the Joker. That's what happened in the. So this movie actually kind of goes there a little bit. It says this person was studying psychology but didn't end up getting there. The lawyer lady is worried that she's using her and tries to explain to Arthur Fleck that he was using her stuff. They also subvert expectations by having the neighbor lady that everybody thought was a fantasy, the stories show up in the movie. Okay, she actually was real, and and had moved out. So all of that stuff in the first movie where you're thinking, oh, Arthur, yeah, what was the fantasy in the first Joker movie was that the black neighbor lady and the kid were already left. They had already left at some point halfway through the movie, and he was imagining there was an affair. That's the part that was imagined. Also, you wonder if in this movie he's imagining the other one too. Who knows what he's imagining? Because he's built a persona for himself, where it's changing to musical numbers whenever he wants to escape from that reality that's going on. Go into musical numbers. That makes sense if he's actually truly a Folie psychotic character. His imagination is stirring up these musical numbers. It's a little weird and far-fetched and antithesis of the other movie, but when you do something different in a sequel, I guess that's fine. The sex scene is disturbing. The other sex scene is disturbing. The scene where they trick him into kissing a guy on the prison yard is not disturbing because they tricked him. It's not just, they tricked him. Yeah, he does it. They tricked him. And I think he's supposed to be the guy at the end that takes him out, and not the other clown guy in the other car. I think that's what's going on. So he can be the Joker now, because the Joker is an idea. It's not the Batman is an idea. Not so much making fun of the Dark Knight, but the Dark Knight Rises, the other Batman. Yeah. Making fun of the Nolan movies. It would have been interesting if Nolan directed. This is the guy that directed the Hangover movies. So it's Todd Phillips. So I mean, you're gonna get what you pay for. The guy that directed the Hangover movies. It's a fluke that it was $2 billion. It was a perfect storm that it was $1 billion on the first one. I think also two reasons. Also the Batman also worked as an Elseworld story. A little bit of a Long Dark Halloween. A little bit of the Killing Joke in that one too. A little bit of the Penguin story and all that, and then they did another thing. But yeah, the Falcone story in there. These Elseworld Batman standalone stories work a little better than the other ones, and they were just. I think the audience was relieved that it was not Zack Snyder directing a DC movie, and they were like, "Oh, it's Phillips. We've never heard of that guy. Who is that? We'll go to see his Joker movie because it's different. It's got Phillips in it, Joaquin Phoenix, and get an Oscar and stuff." Yeah, this one he doesn't really. Yeah, he's mocking his own performance. Since I was not a critic of either of them, I was not turned off or triggered by the noise in the story of the propaganda. I got the joke. What was going on? I got what they were doing. I'm not saying they executed it well, but they got what they were doing. So there's this frantic sort of thing if you read it that way. Also, if you want to read it even more cynically that way, what really happens is during this 40-minute trial thing, he's imagining having taken over as the lawyer. He's imagining Harley Quinn's character. She's not there. He's imagining all that other stuff. He gets beaten up and then killed. The end. That's literally the 40-minute treatment that they probably got from Cal Cat. No, it wasn't mine. No, I didn't do it. I did not do it. I mean, the King of Comedy was bad, but the gag there was that they killed the King of Comedy at the end. And a little bit of Taxi Driver thrown in there. But yeah, that they waited 30 years to do a joke on that movie that apparently I'm in agreement with Mr. Phillips about that ending was stupid in that movie, so he's making fun of it in his movie with the Joker. It's a little weird because it doesn't really work, but they do it anyway. I mean, clearly the Gaga character is using Arthur Fleck, so whatever Arthur Fleck is doing, it's not Jack Napier. Answering machine message thing. It's almost like there's two different endings. He leaves this long answering machine message. Fleck wants to get back with her. After he admits that he did it and everything. Case is pretty much closed. He can be killed, obviously. So he'd get the chair anyway. He's gonna die. Somehow he's gonna get killed, obviously. And obviously he's not Jack Napier later, and he's not the other Joker later. So he's some other Joker. Somebody Joker in New York, in Gotham City. So you have, so this is an Elseworld where Batman probably doesn't exist. Or at least if he does, he's a kid. But yeah, it's like, no, he doesn't exist in that universe. He's not the Batman from The Batman, clearly. That Joker is still in Arkham Asylum at the end of the Batman with Twilight Boy. Twilight Boy. But yes, one of the Twilight Boys. But yes, so you have Folie. And what's odd is Hollywood loves the I've read a Variety article, so I'll quote it. I got that from the Variety. This part where they're talking about the insanity, plead insanity defenses in Hollywood trial movies. A lot. They even spoof Matlock at one point. They got a guy talking like Matlock. That's why, I don't know. So is the Harvey Dent in this movie the Tommy Lee Jones Harvey Dent from the Val Kilmer Batman and Robin with Jim Carrey? Yes, probably. So it's in that universe. It's Val Kilmer Batman universe. There you go. Jim Carrey Batman. Val Kilmer. But yeah. So I would set that in the 90s, and that would be about right. That's where I would line that up. Because that would be like, because if this is supposed to take place in like 89 or 90 at the beginning, that sort of takes place in 95. Yeah, it kind of doesn't work. No. 97? No, it would be Clooney. Because he has to be at least 10 years older than as Bruce Wayne. He can't be 20. He's going to be 10 years older later. So when does this movie take place? I don't know. They're driving around in late 70s, early 80s cars. So. And they have video in it. And they have cameras in it. Like the courtroom thing. I couldn't tell what kind of cameras specifically. It looked like they were using like Sony Handycam but older ones. Maybe some JVC thrown in there. But they didn't really get all of that stuff looking quite right, even though you'd think they would have had that back then. That studio would have stuff like that on hand. But yeah. And the answering machine tape lasted way too long. The answering machine tape song went on for a good 3 minutes, and there's no way an answering machine is going to go on that long. On the other end, she's about to blow her brains out, but then she doesn't. She shows up later. Of course, then maybe if it's all imagined in his head, maybe he goes up there imagining she's going to be there. She's not actually there. And they just arrest him at the top of the stairs. Which would make more sense. Yeah. Maybe the entire bomb explosion thing never happened. Maybe it's just, they found him in the debris afterward. He knocked out. Yeah. My fans are going to save me, and then I'm going to escape them. Maybe half the movie didn't happen. Maybe it's all... Maybe he was actually dying after being accosted by the guards, and that's the whole ending. Is it just he's in prison going, staring at the screen blankly, half dead. Yeah, maybe that's the actual ending, the real ending. I don't know. But yeah, it doesn't seem like she would be there, except she interacts with the lawyer and the other person. So I'm thinking that Arthur Fleck's character, isn't necessarily imagining everyone in the room, that these other people are in the room with him, like the landlord lady, like the neighbor lady was, and that he imagines a conversation and then a relationship that isn't there. They're in the room and they interact with the lawyer or they interact with the judge, but they're not interacting with him. He just thinks they are. Because what's the likelihood of the guards letting her into a solitary confinement so she can have sex with him? Why would the guards do that? Encourage that kind of thing. Well, why are they doing that? Just to be mean? This makes sense. And she's nuts. And yeah, that's not how that works either. Dry humping and for a few seconds. No, baby. It's not gonna happen. No, she's lying. But yeah, she's going to become Harley Quinn's mom from the animated series. But no, that wouldn't match up either because that's like early '90s. It doesn't work. Deconstructing the deconstructing of the movie. That's supposed to be using song standards. Part of the grading part of that is kind of alluded to earlier is Joaquin Phoenix's character tries so hard to sing badly that when he sings counterpoint to Lady Gaga, who also tries to sing badly, and they smoke a lot too in the story, which messes up your voice. Don't sing and smoke. Don't do that. Don't smoke, but don't sing and smoke. I don't know why I guess they wanted to do an 80s gritty crime drama. And and their voice is great. The musical numbers are not good because they're trying so hard to sing badly. And this is like, oh my goodness, why did you get... okay, I know why you guys did this. You had 2 hours and 10 minutes of movie. But actually what you really had was about 40 minutes of movie. And you filled it up with over 2 hours, or over an hour and a half, 90 minutes of music, which doesn't go at all with the movie. It's just out and good. So, Harley Quinzel. It could be worse. But you have There's not much else. I mean, if the setup is to deconstruct the character to the point that it's all imagined, you might as well just say at the very end that the entire movie was a dream at that point. They didn't, but you might as well. We'll just have it end with him going like, oh, did any of that happen with the trial and all that? No, he beats you up and stabs you and you're half dead. Oh, okay. The end. Oh, and you weren't the Joker, by the way. I'm not as put off by the film as the others are, because they liked the idea of the anti-Joker movie, not being Joker to begin with, even. And this movie deconstructs that and says, yes, he is the anti-Joker, just like all you guys were joking about. And the fans are like, no, we don't like that. Like, that's what you wanted. He gave you literally what you wanted. Okay. Okay then. So yeah, I can't say it sucks. It doesn't completely suck. It doesn't blow chunks. It's salvageable almost. I didn't walk out. Not like in the Cooler movie where I walked out of the Cooler. I stayed through this whole movie. It didn't make me squeamish at all. And there are some parts that were the prison rape scene. But the bad guy, the big fat bad guy, cop guy got blown up in the explosion. If that was real, if it wasn't just Arthur Fleck imagining it. Just end them all. Pff, massive car bomb went off. Yeah, there are clues that in this story that he's like just... there are clues in there. You could interpret it as he's just imagining having been freed from his trial after being They're essentially going to attend to the electric chair. They say, "Oh, you're guilty" and everything. Probably what really happened is the verdict already came down, because he says the verdict came down, and then we get to see the verdict happen as if there was a scene that was recorded differently and changed. So he already tells the girl the verdict on the phone, and in front of and all the prison people can. How does he get to a payphone anyway? In the prison, they're not going to let him have a payphone. He's a convicted murderer. They're not going to let him have a phone. No, that scene makes no sense. Unless he imagined there were two different phone scenes and visit scenes. That really, why was that jail letting her even there? The only thing that makes sense is she wasn't there. That's the only thing that makes sense. If she wasn't there at all, then or she just came on occasion, she's playing with him to get information out of him. Okay, she's there, but she's playing with him to get information out of him. She's not in love with him. She's just playing him like a harp, like a puppet. Then that's fine. But then they make other scenes that throw that off by saying, no, she's not. She actually does like him, but then she broke up with him. But it's like, when he decided he wasn't the Joker anymore, then she broke up with him. And the fantasy is over and whatever. That sounds like his head saying that information, telling him. Subconsciously. So if we deconstruct this 40-page treatment into that, so these other events happen, he probably is imagining the neighbor up on the stage, and the midget guy, the little person, up on the stage too. He's probably imagining him up there. Sorry, not there. That would have been immediately a circus trial, and also the insanity defense never works. But he is obviously crazy. He's a different kind of crazy. He's not necessarily a split personality. He's just borderline personality disorder. He's schizophrenic, basically. So he doesn't necessarily see retreating into his fantasy world. He is the fantasy world that he's retreating into. So it's he's an extreme narcissist, basically. But it's a homicidal narcissist. Interesting, psychotic, basically. Crazy, basically. So he is crazy. He's crazy. He can stand around. He's crazy. But the insanity plea doesn't work because he was aware of what he was doing. He was getting revenge on the bad guys he didn't like. So he was sane when he did what he did, but he wasn't sane when he was insane otherwise. And they're goading him along, even though they know he's totally nuts. But I guess because he was in a weakened condition, he wasn't the real Joker. He couldn't do what he was doing, and they were just using him. So yeah, the whole background of these characters doing their thing is not is who knows what parts of this are in his head, because they do show the part where he imagines killing half the courtroom, and then there's the scene at the end where they talk about blow it all up, and then they blow it all up. So it's in his head. So here's what actually really happened in the movie. Here's what really actually happened, well, in a fantasy movie. So he's going to go on trial. It's a death penalty trial. The verdict is guilty. Before that, he's beaten down and messed with in the trial, in the courtroom. And there's no theatrics. He's not wearing clown makeup. None of that stuff happens. He's imagining all that. The characters there, he's imagining all that. The lawyer lady, once he fires the lawyer lady, then the Gaga fan is there, but she doesn't sleep with him, because that makes no sense. They're there, and she's there, but then she dumps him at the end of the trial, leaves. And he doesn't have her number, because why would he have her number? No, he doesn't leave a voicemail. It doesn't make sense. And then at the end he goes back to jail, and he's awaiting being killed. And then the other guy comes in and they trick him because they're assholes, and they say, "Oh, your friend's here to see you." And then they go out, and it's just another fan, the Joker fan. That's the end of the movie, and he stabs him. The end. The girl's not there. He didn't escape in a car bomb in a dramatic finale with a nuke going, and the only survivor. It's like, come on, that's fiction. He's imagining that shit. He's completely imagining that shit. It didn't happen. It is in the movie, but the original story, the 40-minute treatment is just, no. he basically dies. And the real Joker replaces him and says, I'm Jack Napier. I'm the Joker, not him. I'm much funnier than him. And then it. He didn't say that in the movie, but he should have. I think. And there's a Joker at the end of The Batman, that was an older guy too. That wasn't him though. They left him out of focus to pretend he was him, but he wasn't. The Joker. Trying my Mark Hamill, the Joker accent is not that great, but it's passable. Oh, passable. If you say so. I say it sucks. Like this movie. I give it a thumbs down. But I did like some of the deaths and brutalities. I didn't mind that. I like the brutality. We weren't supposed to like the brutality. Yeah, it was trying to be a little too much. Yeah, it's definitely rated R and definitely not recommended for people that have issues with their fantasy and reality. They shouldn't watch this movie. Don't watch it. Don't watch it. Do not show this at psych places. Heavily sanitized 40-minute version. But yes, yeah, this is Joker Folie à Deux. My overview, not down thing. I'm sure the Red Letter, if Red Letter Media isn't doing their own version of this right now, it will be, and they'll put theirs up. I get to watch them reviewing Folie à Deux, going, oh my god, oh, this movie's really annoying everybody. Let's review it. Okay. I think they've been avoiding it though. They keep putting up like haunted house stuff for Halloween. And avoiding doing that, or doing my suggestion of having the Red Letter Media girl reappear, the two girls from 2014 reappear. They don't want to do that, but yeah, they don't want to do that. So yeah, we have Folie à Deux. But Folie à Deux can also mean like literally Folie à Deux. So will the sequel be Ménage à Trois? Who would the third one be then? The Batman. No, they won't do that. They won't. Oh, I hear there's a Penguin show, but I don't have WB HBO Max, so I'm not going to see it. So yeah, but yeah, coming soon. Superman Legacy. DC Universe. It's like a throwback a little bit to the OG stuff from the late 70s, early 80s. With modern stuff in it, it's not Superman Returns. It's just just so somewhere in there they have either the Justice League or the Williams score in there, or both. You know. Yes, and the point of Folie à Deux also, when he goes, that's all folks, and then leaves, that's actually where that ends. Which would have been at the 2-hour mark, roughly. That's all folks. That would imply that he's familiar with Warner Brothers cartoons. Why would he be familiar with the studio that produces his own? Does Warner Brothers exist in the universe of their movie? Because that's weird. Although Lady Gaga was still my choice 10 years ago to play Jem and the Holograms, and they chose someone else who was younger. Should have been Lady Gaga. It could still be Lady Gaga. They could still have her in there doing a Jem movie. They could still do that. They could still get away with it. She would be the older one that's retiring, and they have to get a new one. Yeah. And then she could do a musical, because Jem and the Holograms would be a musical. Absolutely. Yeah. Joaquin Phoenix. And Joaquin, go eat a lot of hamburgers and steaks. You're too skinny. Okay, go eat a lot of food. Yeah. Shit. No, you're too skinny. Why would they let him starve himself in prison? It's kind of fucked up. I get it that Gotham City's supposed to be all steamy and gross and stuff, but yeah, there was a parody of Rikers Island being, Arkham Island or Arkham Hotel. Well, they reference her. Yeah, so it's a Millar story, basically. And then, yeah, with the late 80s Batman stuff, darker stuff. Yeah. And yeah, like I said, it's a Coppola movie instead of a Scorsese movie. Anyway, that is, yeah. You can take that what you will, because there's a new Coppola movie, and it ain't very good. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard that Megalopolis is not very good. Godfather 3 was not very good. That was one of those movies where they're all, don't cast your daughter in the movie. She's okay at directing, but acting, not so much. Good at directing. Later on, she directed some good movies. So, Suicide Diaries, the other one. But don't let her act. Yeah, Sophia. Oh, kind of just kidding, Sophia, if you watch this. I'm kind of kidding. Yeah, you're about my age, so I'm kind of... Well, yeah, come on. Godfather 3, come on. Anyway. But yes, yeah, you're better at directing, so...